The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched wide like an enormous dome made of crystal and metal. Ambassador Kang Day sat alone in the small section reserved for observers. His dark uniform looked plain compared to the colorful robes and armor worn by the alien delegates around him. The air felt thick with tension and something else that made Day uncomfortable. Chancellor Vex stood at the center podium. His reptilian skin gleamed under the bright lights as he spoke in a voice that echoed. Through the massive chamber, the other council members listened from their floating seats that hovered in circles around the speaking area. Each alien species looked different, but they all shared the same expression when they looked toward the human observer section. Day had been coming to these meetings for 3 months now. Each time the aliens talked about humans like they were discussing pets or insects. Today felt different, though. The way Chancellor Vex kept glancing at him made Day think something bad was about to happen fair above the planet in the cold darkness of space. Captain Park Min watched the council session through hidden cameras. His ship, the Indomitable, floated invisible among the stars. Its advanced cloaking systems made it impossible for alien sensors to detect. The massive warship had been there for weeks gathering information, and waiting Min stood on his command bridge surrounded by his crew. Lieutenant Kim so worked at her station monitoring alien communications, while engineer Li Bin checked the ship's weapon systems. Major Yunhei studied tactical displays showing the positions of alien defense platforms around the planet. All of them knew why they were here. The captain had short black hair and serious eyes that never seemed to blink. He wore the dark blue uniform of the United Earth Space Navy with pride. His crew trusted him completely because he had never let them down in 5 years of dangerous missions. Min had been chosen for this assignment because he understood both warfare and diplomacy. Back in the council chamber, Chancellor Vex began speaking about the human problem. His words made Day clench his fists under the table. The reptilian leader described humans as a young species that had grown too bold, too quickly. He said they needed to be taught their proper place in the galaxy. The insectoid commander Thrix clicked his mandibles in agreement. His multiple eyes gleamed as he suggested that humans should be restricted to only a few star systems. The other aliens nodded and made sounds of approval. They seemed to enjoy the idea of putting humans in their place. Day listened as they discussed humanity like a disease that needed to be controlled. They talked about limiting human trade routes, stopping human exploration, and forcing human colonies to pay heavy taxes to the council. Some aliens suggested that humans should not be allowed to develop new technology without council approval. The debate went on for hours. Each alien speaker tried to suggest harsher punishments for human independence. One delegate from a species that looked like walking trees proposed that humans should not be allowed to leave their home solar system. Another alien that resembled a giant bird wanted to place monitoring devices on all human ships. Captain Min watched it all from his hidden position in space. He recorded every word, every gesture, every sign of alien arrogance. His crew grew angrier as they listened to the aliens discuss their species like property that could be bought and sold. Min remained calm, but his hands gripped the arms of his command chair tighter with each passing hour. Dr. Choi Ne, the ship's science officer, studied the alien technology visible in the council chamber. She took careful notes about their shield generators, communication systems, and security measures. Everything she learned would be useful later when humanity needed to defend itself against these arrogant creatures. The aliens finally began voting on their proposal to restrict human activities. Each species cast their vote with dramatic flourishes and speeches about protecting galactic stability. Chancellor Vex counted the votes with obvious pleasure as each one supported limiting human freedom. When the final vote came in, it was unanimous. Every single alien species supported the new restrictions on humanity. The chamber filled with sounds of celebration as the aliens congratulated themselves on solving the human problems so easily. They acted like they had just prevented a great disaster. Chancellor Vex called for silence before reading the official decree. Humans would be limited to 3 star systems around their home world. All human ships would need special permits to travel outside those boundaries. Human colonies would pay tribute to the Council every year. Any human technology development would require alien approval. The decree also stated that humans had 1 standard galactic week to accept these terms. If they refused, the Council would send military forces to enforce compliance. The aliens laughed as Chancellor Vex mentioned their overwhelming military superiority. They had thousands of warships and millions of trained soldiers. Ambassador. Day stood slowly when Chancellor Vex finished reading. The entire chamber fell quiet as all eyes turned toward the lone human. The aliens waited to hear him beg for mercy or ask for more time to consider their generous offer. Instead, Day straightened his uniform and looked directly at Chancellor Vex. His voice carried clearly through the silent chamber as he delivered humanity's response. The United Earth government rejected all council demands and withdrew from every treaty with alien species, ADE. Chamber erupted in laughter. The aliens found it hilarious that one small human thought he could defy the entire Galactic Council. Commander Thrix clicked his mandibles so hard they sounded like breaking glass. The tree-like delegates swayed back, and forth making creaking sounds of amusement, Chancellor Vex raised his clawed hand for silence again. He told Day that humans were making a terrible mistake. The Council had been generous in offering any terms at all. Most species that defied the Council were simply eliminated entirely. Day nodded calmly and pulled a small device from his pocket. The aliens stopped laughing when they saw him press a button on the device. A soft blue light surrounded the human ambassador and he began to fade from view. Within seconds, he had disappeared completely, leaving only empty space where he had been standing. The chamber filled with confused voices as aliens demanded to know what had happened. Chancellor Vex ordered security teams to search for the missing human, but they found nothing. The advanced teleportation technology was beyond anything the aliens had seen before on his hidden ship. Captain Min smiled as he watched the aliens panic over Dai's dramatic exit. The ambassador materialized. On the Indomitable's bridge, still wearing his calm expression, the crew welcomed him back as he reported that the mission was complete. The aliens had shown their true nature. They saw humans as inferior beings that could be controlled and manipulated. They believed their ancient technology and vast fleets made them unstoppable. They had no idea what was coming for them in the darkness of space. Min ordered his crew to prepare for the next phase of their mission. The Indomitable began moving toward the outer edge of the star system where it would wait and watch. The aliens thought they had given humanity a week to surrender. They were wrong. The week would give humanity time to show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens the human race. Captain Min looked at the alien planet growing smaller on his view screen and began planning their response to the Council's arrogance. The command center of the Indomitable hummed quietly as Captain Park Min reviewed Ambassador Day's full report. The massive warship drifted silently through the void between stars, completely invisible to any alien sensors that might be searching. For it, the advanced stealth technology made the ship appear like empty space, even to the most sensitive detection equipment. Min called his senior officers to the main briefing room. The circular chamber had a large holographic display in the center that could show star maps, battle formations, or detailed technical information. Lieutenant Kim So arrived first, followed by Major Yoon Hae and Dr. Choi Nae. Engineer Lee Bin came last, still wiping his hands on a cloth after working on the ship's systems. The captain activated the display and showed detailed information about the Galactic Council's military forces. Numbers and statistics filled the air above the table, showing ship counts, weapon capabilities, and defensive installations. The data painted a clear picture of overwhelming alien superiority, at least on paper. Major Yun-hai studied the tactical information with her sharp eyes. She had been a military analyst before joining the Indomitable crew and understood how to find weaknesses in enemy forces. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight military style, and her uniform was always perfectly pressed. "The aliens have impressive numbers," she said, pointing to the display. "They control over 5,000 star systems and command fleets, totaling more than 50,000 warships of various classes. Their technology has been proven in countless battles over thousands of years." Dr. Choi-nae nodded as she examined the scientific data about alien weapons and defenses. She was younger than the other officers, but her brilliant mind had earned her a place on this special mission. Her area of expertise was alien technology, and she had spent years studying captured equipment. "Their energy shields can deflect most known weapons," she explained. "The plasma cannons they use have enough power to destroy entire cities. Their military doctrine relies on overwhelming firepower and superior numbers. They have never lost a major conflict in recorded galactic history." Engineer Lee Bin looked at the technical specifications with interest. He was responsible for keeping the Indomitable running at peak performance and understood every system on the ship. His experience with both human and alien technology made him valuable for this mission. Captain Min listened to each report before sharing what he knew about their own capabilities. The Indomitable represented 20 years of secret human development. It had been built in hidden shipyards using resources from dozens of human colonies. The project had cost more than any other undertaking in human history. The ship was much larger than anything humans had built before, stretching over 2 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull was made from materials that could absorb or deflect most forms of energy. Its engines could push it faster than any known vessel in the galaxy. The weapons systems incorporated technology that the aliens had never encountered. Dr. Choi stood and activated another section of the display. This one showed the key advantages humans possessed over their alien enemies. She had studied the differences between human and alien thinking for years and understood why humans might succeed where others had failed. The major alien species in the Council achieved technological superiority thousands of years ago, she explained. Since then, they have made only minor improvements to their existing systems. They became comfortable with their dominance and stopped pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Lieutenant Kim So added her own observations about alien behavior patterns. She had monitored their communications for months and noticed important details about how they operated. The aliens followed predictable routines and rarely deviated from established procedures. They think in terms of overwhelming force and direct confrontation. She said, "Their battle tactics have remained essentially unchanged for centuries. They expect enemies to fight them in traditional ways, using similar technology and strategies." Major Yun-hai pointed out the psychological factors that would work in humanity's favor. The aliens had never faced a peer opponent in living memory. They were used to fighting primitive species that could be crushed easily. The concept of facing an equal or superior enemy was foreign to them. Engineer Lee Bin brought up the technical aspects that made the Indomitable special. The ship incorporated reverse-engineered alien technology, but improved it using human innovation. They had also developed completely new systems based on theoretical physics that aliens considered impossible. "Our cloaking system is better than anything they have," he said with pride. "We can remain invisible while scanning their ships and learning their weaknesses. Our weapons use principles they don't understand and can't defend against." Captain Min outlined the mission they would undertake. Operation Nightfall would begin immediately. The Indomitable would shadow the alien fleet as it moved toward human space. They would gather intelligence about alien capabilities and wait for the perfect moment to strike. The crew spent the next several hours preparing for what might be a long campaign. Lieutenant Commander O. Reed joined them to coordinate the ship's technical specialists. She was responsible for electronic warfare systems that could disrupt alien communications and navigation. Major Yunhai worked with Lieutenant Colonel Bei Jun to ready the Marine detachment. The soldiers would be needed for boarding, operations, and capturing alien personnel for interrogation. Each Marine wore advanced armor that made them faster and stronger than most alien species. Dr. Choi continued analyzing alien technology, looking for weaknesses that could be exploited. Had identified several promising areas where human innovations might provide decisive advantages. The aliens relied too heavily on energy shields and had neglected physical armor. As the crew prepared, the Indomitable began moving toward the staging area where alien fleets were assembling. The journey would take several days, but the ship could remain undetected throughout the trip. Its sensors could monitor alien activities from vast distances. Captain Min stood on his bridge watching the stars drift past on the main display. He thought about the billions of humans living in colonies throughout their small section of space. Most of them had no idea that their entire civilization might be destroyed within days. The aliens believed they were dealing with a minor rebellion that could be crushed easily. They had no concept of human determination or the lengths humans would go to protect their families. The council members thought they were teaching an upstart species a simple lesson. Min knew better. Humans had survived ice ages, conquered their own planet, and spread across dozens of star systems despite facing countless obstacles along the way. They had never surrendered to superior forces, and they would not start now. The Indomitable continued its silent journey through space, carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire species. The alien fleet ahead had no idea they were being hunted by the most advanced warship ever built. Captain Min smiled grimly as he thought about what was coming. The aliens wanted to show humans their proper place in the galaxy. They were about to learn that humans had already found their place, and they would fight anyone who tried to take it away. The ghost ship moved through the darkness, preparing to emerge when the time was right. Staging Point Omega floated in space like a massive artificial moon surrounded by the largest military fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Admiral Zek commanded over 500 warships from his flagship, the Dominance, a massive dreadnought, capable of destroying entire planets. The alien crews celebrated their easy assignment, making jokes about how quickly they would finish off the human settlements. The fleet included ships from dozens of different alien species, each one bringing their most advanced vessels, reptilian destroyers with plasma cannons that could melt through solid rock, insectoid cruisers, carrying swarms of fighter craft, tree-like vessels that could regenerate damage during battle, like ships with energy. Weapons that never seemed to run out of power. Captain Min watched their preparations from his hidden position several light minutes away. The Indomitable remained completely invisible, while its advanced sensors recorded every detail of the alien formation. He studied their movement patterns, identified command vessels, and marked high-value targets for future reference. The aliens moved in predictable formations following military doctrines that had been successful for thousands of years. They saw no reason to change tactics that had never failed them before. Their confidence showed in every aspect of their behavior, from casual communication protocols to relaxed security measures. Dr. Choi worked at her station analyzing the technical specifications of each alien ship type. Her instruments could penetrate their hulls and examine internal systems without being detected. She discovered critical information about shield generators, weapon systems, and life support equipment. Lieutenant Kim So coordinated with human colonies in the target systems, using encrypted communication channels that aliens could not intercept. The colonists were already evacuating to hidden shelters deep underground or in asteroid fields far from there. Main settlement's Major Yun Hai prepared detailed attack plans based on the intelligence they were gathering. She identified the optimal sequence for eliminating enemy ships while minimizing the risk of detection or retaliation. Her tactical experience helped her spot weaknesses in the alien formation. Engineer Li Bin made final adjustments to the Indomitable's experimental weapon systems. The ship carried devices that used principles unknown to alien science, quantum destabilizers that could phase through shields, gravitational pulse cannons that created artificial black holes, plasma beams that operated at frequencies aliens had never encountered. The alien fleet began its journey toward human space, moving in a grand procession that stretched. Across several light years, Admiral Zek broadcast speeches about the glorious victory they would achieve. His words were translated into dozens of alien languages, but the message was always the same. Humans would be crushed completely for daring to defy the Galactic Council. Their colonies would be destroyed, their ships captured, and their technology confiscated. The surviving humans would be relocated to prison worlds, where they could live under constant alien supervision. Captain Min followed, the fleet at a safe distance, his ship remaining undetected among the stars. The Indomitable could travel faster than any alien vessel, but Min chose to match their speed while gathering more intelligence. Every hour provided new information about enemy capabilities. The journey to human space took 3 standard days. During that time, the alien crews grew more relaxed and confident. They shared stories about previous campaigns against rebellious species. Most of those wars had ended within hours as primitive opponents surrendered rather than face complete annihilation. When the fleet reached the first human system, they found empty planets and abandoned space stations. The colonists had vanished completely, leaving behind only automated messages declaring their defiance of Council authority. The recordings showed ordinary humans, families with children explaining why they would never bow to alien masters. Admiral Zek grew frustrated but ordered his ships to destroy everything anyway. He wanted to send a clear message about the price of rebellion. The alien vessels spread throughout the system, targeting civilian infrastructure, industrial facilities, and orbital installations. Massive explosions lit up the void as plasma cannons, reduced human cities to smoking ruins. Energy beams sliced through space stations like knives through paper. The aliens worked systematically, ensuring that nothing remained of human presence in the system as the destruction continued. Captain Min made his decision. The time for watching and waiting had ended. He ordered his crew to battle stations and began moving the Indomitable into attack position. The ship approached the alien flagship from directly behind, using the confusion of the bombardment to mask its approach. The Indomitable decloaked less than a kilometer behind the Dominance, its massive hull suddenly appearing like a nightmare emerging from the void. The human warship was larger than Admiral Zek's flagship and bristled with weapons that the aliens had never seen before. Before the aliens could react, Min ordered his weapons officer to fire. The Indomitable's main guns released a concentrated beam of coherent plasma that operated at frequencies specifically designed to penetrate alien shields. The energy struck the Dominance's rear section and burned completely through the hull. The alien flagship exploded in a brilliant flash that lit up half the star system. Admiral Zek and his entire command staff died instantly, along with thousands of crew members. The explosion sent shockwaves through nearby ships, causing damage and panic throughout the fleet. The Indomitable disappeared back into cloak before the surviving aliens could target it. The human ship had fired, once killed hundreds of enemies, and vanished again like a ghost ship, after ship exploded over the next few minutes as Min continued his attack. Run panic spread through the alien fleet as commanders tried to understand what was happening. There, sensors showed nothing, but ships kept exploding around them. Some captains ordered random firing into empty space, hoping to hit the invisible enemy. Others tried to retreat, but had no idea which direction was safe. Captain Min coordinated the attack, from his command chair calling out targets while his crew executed each strike with deadly precision. Lieutenant Kim so managed the cloaking system, ensuring they remained invisible. Major Yun Hai analyzed enemy responses and predicted their next Moves, Dr. Choi monitored alien communications, listening to their confused reports and desperate calls for help. The enemy crews were terrified and demoralized, having never faced an opponent they could not see or understand. Engineer Lee Bin kept the weapons charged and ready as target after target fell to their assault. Within an hour, the alien fleet had lost over 50 ships, including most of their command vessels. The survivors huddled together in defensive formations, but had no effective way to fight an enemy that could strike from anywhere. The mighty Galactic Council fleet found itself being systematically destroyed by a single human warship that appeared and disappeared like something from their worst nightmares. The hunt had begun, and the aliens were learning what it meant to be prey instead of predators. Captain Min smiled grimly as he watched the enemy fleet scatter in confusion. They had underestimated humanity, and now they would pay the price for their arrogance. The Indomitable moved through space like a phantom, bringing death and terror to those who threatened human freedom. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in panic as reports flooded in from the human front news of the fleet. Disasters reached Chancellor Vex through priority communications that painted a picture of impossible defeat. The mighty Council Armada was being destroyed by what appeared to be a single human vessel. Commander Thrix clicked his mandibles nervously as he presented the tactical reports. Over 100 ships had been lost in 3 days of fighting the human vessel, appeared without warning, destroyed multiple targets, and vanished before anyone could respond effectively. Their best military minds had no explanation for how this was possible. The tree-like delegate swayed anxiously as he spoke about the economic implications. Trade routes were shutting down as merchant vessels refused to travel without massive military escorts. The psychological impact was spreading faster than the actual attacks as fear gripped species throughout Council space. Captain Min continued his campaign of terror from the bridge of the Indomitable. The ghost ship struck alien installations throughout the sector with devastating effectiveness. Supply depots that had operated safely for centuries were reduced to debris. In minutes, communication relays that connected alien fleets fell silent after brief energy signatures. Each attack followed the same terrifying pattern. The human ship would appear from nowhere, deliver precise strikes against critical targets, and disappear before defenders could react. The aliens began calling it the Death Shadow, because it brought destruction from the void like some ancient nightmare. Major Yun Hai coordinated boarding operations when the situation called for capturing, rather than destroying enemy facilities. Her marine teams used advanced armor that made them faster and stronger than most alien species. They moved through enemy installations like unstoppable forces. Lieutenant Colonel Bei Jun led these boarding parties with deadly efficiency. His soldiers wore powered armor that could deflect most alien weapons, while their own guns fired rounds that could penetrate any known armor. The Marines captured alien officers for interrogation and gathered intelligence about fleet positions. The psychological warfare proved even more effective than physical destruction. Alien crews began deserting their posts rather than face the phantom human ship. Stories spread through their ranks about vessels that vanished, completely leaving only debris fields and emergency beacons. Dr. Choi analyzed every piece of captured alien technology, discovering critical weaknesses in their shield systems and weapon designs. She developed new countermeasures that made the Indomitable even more effective against enemy ships. The human vessel evolved into a perfect predator, designed specifically to hunt alien warships, Lieutenant Kim. So monitored alien communications and noticed growing panic in their transmissions. Captains reported ghost sightings and false sensor readings. Crews jumped at shadows and opened fire on empty space. Some ships retreated from patrol routes without encountering any human forces at all. The alien military command structure began breaking down under pressure. Admiral after admiral was killed when their flagships were destroyed by the invisible enemy. Lower-ranking officers refused promotions that would put them in charge of hunting the Death Shadow engineer Li Bin, worked around the clock maintaining the ship's advanced systems. The constant combat operations put stress on every component, but the Indomitable continued performing perfectly. His innovations kept improving their weapons and defenses, making them even more lethal. Captain Min studied intelligence reports that showed the broader impact of their campaign. The Galactic Council economy was showing signs of serious strain as fear disrupted normal commerce. Insurance rates for space travel had increased by over 300%, forcing many companies out of business. Some alien species began questioning whether the war against humans was worth the cost. The bird-like Aryans published statements calling for peace negotiations. The crystalline silicates withdrew their ships from Council fleets, claiming they needed to defend their home systems. Chancellor Vex struggled to maintain unity among Council members as doubt and fear undermined their confidence. Several species demanded to know why their leaders had provoked these terrifying humans in the first place. The political coalition that had seemed so strong was developing serious cracks. The Indomitable struck a major supply complex that served as a hub for military operations in 3 sectors. The facility had been considered impregnable with massive shields and defensive batteries surrounding storage areas that could supply entire fleets for months. Captain Min approached the target during a shift change when security was at its lowest. The human ship materialized inside the shield perimeter and began systematically destroying critical infrastructure. Fuel storage tanks exploded in chain reactions that lit up the entire system. Alien defenders responded quickly, but their weapons had no effect on the Indomitables. Advanced armor. The human ship ignored their attacks while continuing its methodical destruction of everything valuable in the complex. Within 2 hours, the facility was completely destroyed. The loss of the supply hub forced the aliens to recall ships from offensive operations to protect their remaining logistics infrastructure. The Council fleet that had been hunting human colonies was pulled back to defend alien territory. This gave human settlements time to strengthen their defenses. Dr. Choi discovered that the aliens used a centralized computer network to coordinate their military operations. She developed a virus that could infiltrate their systems and feed false information to their commanders. The psychological warfare expanded into cyber warfare as alien fleets began receiving contradictory orders. Major Yun Hai planned increasingly bold attacks as the enemy showed signs of weakness. The Marines captured an entire alien intelligence facility, gathering databases full of military secrets. The information revealed the locations of hidden bases and the movement schedules of important fleet units. The terror campaign reached its peak when the Indomitable attacked a council meeting being held on a heavily defended space station. The alien leaders thought they were safe behind multiple layers of shields and protective fleets. They were wrong. Captain Min brought his ship directly through their defenses, using new stealth technology that Dr. Choi had developed. The Indomitable appeared in the center of the station docking bay and deployed Marines to capture several high-ranking officials before vanishing again. The psychological impact was devastating. Council members realized they were not safe anywhere. The humans could strike any target at any time without warning. The myth of alien superiority crumbled as fear replaced confidence in their military capabilities. News of the captured officials spread throughout alien space. Each species wondered if their own leaders might be next. Some began secret negotiations with human representatives through neutral parties. The solid front against humanity started fragmenting as self-interest overcame unity. Chancellor Vex called for emergency reinforcements from every corner of Council space, but few ships responded. Captains claimed mechanical problems or cited orders to protect their home systems. The Great Alliance was falling apart under pressure from a single human warship. Captain Min watched the political situation develop while planning his next moves. The terror campaign had exceeded all expectations. The aliens were learning that humans could be far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The ghost ship continued its hunt through, the darkness bringing fear to those who had thought themselves untouchable. Supreme Admiral Korth commanded the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Over 2,000 warships gathered at Nexus Prime, representing every major species in the Council Alliance. The massive fleet stretched across several orbital zones around the alien capital world, creating a defensive wall that seemed impenetrable. The Admiral was a veteran of hundreds of campaigns and had never experienced defeat. His reptilian features showed the scars of countless battles, while his four arms moved efficiently across command displays. He had been chosen specifically because his tactical genius was legendary throughout alien space. Chancellor Vex addressed the assembled fleet commanders through holographic projection. His speech emphasized the importance of ending the human threat once and for all. The Phantom ship had caused too much damage and fear. The Council needed a decisive victory to restore confidence in their military superiority. The plan was simple in concept but massive in scale. Every approach vector to Nexus Prime would be covered by overlapping sensor grids and weapons platforms. The human ghost ship would be detected the moment it entered the system, then the entire fleet would converge. On its position using overwhelming firepower, Admiral Korth studied tactical displays showing ship positions and sensor coverage. He had positioned faster vessels in outer patrol orbits while keeping his heaviest warships close to the planet's surface. Based defense platforms added their weapons to the protective network. No single ship could possibly fight through such overwhelming defenses. Captain Min observed their preparations from the Indomitable hidden beyond the edge of the star system. His advanced sensors could monitor alien activities without being detected. The scope of their defensive arrangements was impressive, but he had expected nothing less from a desperate enemy. He called his senior officers to the main briefing room. One final time, the circular chamber had been their planning center for months of successful operations against alien forces. Now they faced the ultimate test of their ship and crew against impossible odds. Lieutenant Kim so reported on the alien fleet composition, identifying ship types and command structures. Major Yoon Hae analyzed their defensive patterns, looking for weaknesses that could be exploited. Dr. Choi presented technical data about alien sensor capabilities and weapon ranges. Engineer Lee Bin confirmed that all ship systems were operating at peak efficiency. The months of combat had proven the reliability of their advanced technology. Every weapon was charged, every shield was at maximum strength, and every stealth system was ready for the greatest challenge they had ever faced. Captain Min looked at each of his officers knowing that they understood the stakes. This mission would determine the future of humanity. If they succeeded, the alien threat would be eliminated. If they failed, every human colony would burn within days. Instead of avoiding the massive alien fleet, Min made a decision that shocked his crew. He would take the Indomitable directly to Nexus Prime and confront the entire Galactic Council. The Ghost ship would emerge from the shadows and show the aliens exactly what humanity was capable of achieving. The crew spent hours preparing for what might be their final battle. Each person checked and rechecked their equipment while reviewing emergency procedures. Lieutenant Commander O-Ri coordinated with technical specialists to ensure every system would perform perfectly under extreme combat conditions. Major Yoon Hae briefed the Marine detachment on boarding procedures and urban combat tactics. Lieutenant Colonel Bae Jun prepared his soldiers for possible ground operations if the battle extended to the planet's surface. The Marines checked their weapons and armor, knowing they might face overwhelming numbers. Dr. Choi made final adjustments to their most advanced weapon systems. Her modifications would give them every possible advantage against alien defenses. She had worked for months, perfecting countermeasures against every type of shield and armor the aliens possessed. The Indomitable began its approach to Nexus Prime using stealth technology that had never been tested against such intensive sensor coverage. The ship moved slowly through the outer system, avoiding patrol routes while penetrating deeper into enemy territory. Alien Sensors detected strange energy readings but could not identify their source. The readings moved in patterns that suggested a large object, but nothing appeared on visual scans. Fleet commanders dismissed the anomalies as equipment malfunctions or natural phenomena. Captain Min positioned his ship directly above the council chambers, where terrified alien leaders continued their emergency sessions. The Indomitable hung motionless in space, surrounded by thousands of enemy vessels that had no idea it was there. For the first time in months, Min activated external communications, broadcasting on frequencies that every ship in the alien fleet could receive. His image appeared simultaneously on screens throughout their vessels and in the council chamber below. The captain appeared calm and professional in his dark blue uniform. His voice carried quiet authority as he identified himself as the commander of humanity's response to alien aggression. The aliens stared in shock at this human who dared to appear before their greatest military force. Min offered the Galactic Council one final opportunity to negotiate a peaceful resolution. His words were broadcast to every alien ship and transmitted throughout their territory. Billions of alien citizens heard the message as their leaders struggled to respond. The response was exactly what Min had expected. Chancellor Vex screamed about human arrogance while ordering every ship to converge on the broadcast source. He promised, too, capture the ghost ship's crew and execute them publicly as an example to other species. Admiral Korth commanded his fleet to surround the transmission point using precise coordinated movements. 2,000 warships began closing in on the position. Where the human captain had delivered his message, their weapons charged as they prepared for the final battle. Supreme Admiral Korth felt confident that no single ship could survive against such overwhelming firepower. His tactical displays showed perfect coordination as the fleet moved into attack formation. Every weapon in the armada would focus on one target. Captain Min watched the alien ships position themselves around his location. He nodded to Lieutenant Kim, who began the final sequence. That would reveal their ship to the enemy. The months of terror and psychological warfare were ending. It was time to show the aliens what the ghost ship really looked like. The Indomitable dropped its cloaking field and appeared in the center of the alien formation. The massive human warship was larger than anything the aliens had ever seen. Its dark hull bristled with weapons that seemed to bend light around them. Silence fell across alien communication channels as they stared at the impossible sight. The ghost ship that had terrorized their fleets for months was not some small stealth vessel. It was a massive warship that dwarfed their largest dreadnoughts. Captain Min opened communications one final time as his weapons began charging. His voice echoed across all frequencies as he delivered humanity's answer to the Galactic Council. The time for hiding in shadows was over. Now the aliens would face the full power of human determination and technology. The space above Nexus Prime became the stage for a battle that would be remembered throughout galactic history. The Indomitable revealed itself in the center of the alien formation, appearing like a dark giant among smaller ships. Its massive hull stretched over 2 kilometers, while weapons that seemed to glow with inner fire prepared to unleash devastation. Captain Min stood on his command bridge, surrounded by his crew as they faced the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. His voice carried across all communication frequencies as he delivered the message that billions of beings throughout space would hear. "You believed we were weak because we are young," Min said calmly, as energy built around his ship's weapon systems. "You mistook our desire for peace as inability to wage war. You forgot that humans survived ice ages, conquered our own planet, and reached the stars despite every obstacle." The alien fleet commanders listened in growing horror as the human captain continued speaking. His words cut through their assumptions about human nature like blades through paper. The species they had dismissed as primitive was revealing its true capabilities. Today, you learn what we are capable of when you threaten our family's men concluded as the Indomitable's weapons reached full charge. The ship that had haunted their nightmares for months was about to show them the reality behind the terror. The first salvo from the human warship rewrote the laws of physics. As the aliens understood them, quantum torpedoes phased through energy shields and armor plating to detonate inside enemy vessels. Gravitational pulse cannons created miniature black holes that consumed entire squadrons of smaller ships' energy beams. Unlike anything an alien experience sliced through multiple targets with each shot, the weapons operated on principles that the Council scientists had declared impossible. Exotic matter reactions that released energies equivalent to small stars, focused into beams that could cut through any known material. Supreme Admiral Korth ordered his entire fleet to concentrate fire on the human ship. 2,000 weapons fired simultaneously, creating a wall of destructive energy that should have vaporized any target. The aliens watched in disbelief as their combined assault had no visible effect. The Indomitable's shields absorbed the massive barrage while its point defense systems intercepted thousands of missiles with computer-precise accuracy. Lieutenant Kim so managed the defensive systems from her station, ensuring that no attack could penetrate their advanced protection. Dr. Choi had spent months analyzing alien weapons and developing perfect countermeasures. The human ship moved through the enemy formation like it was swimming through water instead of facing the combined firepower of the galaxy's greatest military force, Captain Min Kur.